Hello and thank you for joining us on Nationwide, reaching you live from the network service of the NTA. I am Ruth Aguela. President Muhammadu Buhari has left Abuja for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia ahead of the summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation in Mecca. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the summit, to be attended by all heads of state and governments of member countries, is the 14th in its series. King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud is hosting the summit, to be convened under the theme Mecca Al-Mukarramah Summit, hand in hand towards the future, which seeks to develop a unified stance on events in the Islamic world. President Buhari is to address the forum and underscore the need for member countries to unite and work together to combat common challenges such as terrorism and violent extremism. The president is also expected to push forward themes that have been at the forefront of his domestic and international priorities, including reviving the Lake Chad Basin, investing in Nigeria to create jobs, and financing for development. On the margins of the summit, the Nigerian leader will hold bilateral meetings with world leaders to promote increased cooperation and collaboration on issues of mutual concern. He was sent off at the airport by his Chief of Staff, Abba Kyari, Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, and other senior government officials. And now the Council of Ministers of the Organization of Islamic Countries has met in Jeddah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, ahead of the meeting of the Council of Heads of States and Government. The Nigerian delegation was led by former Minister of Foreign Affairs Jeffrey Onyema and the Permanent Secretary at the Ministerial Ambassador Mustafa Suleiman. They spoke on the agenda of the summit and expectations.
And it's an organization that's dedicated to, it's a multilateral organization dedicated to promotion of development and peace globally around the world, and in particular in the member countries.
Now the expectation all the time is that such forum will address these global issues as they relate to member states and try to define a framework for addressing such issues for both member nations and and globally also.
And back home in Nigeria, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has expressed gratitude to Nigerians for the trust reposed in the president and his team. The Vice President at the inauguration gala night held at the State House Conference Hall in Abuja reiterated the administration's commitment to good governance. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
It's really a moment of joy for Nigerians. 20 years down the line and the root of democracy is still growing on the Nigerian political soil. The re-election of President Muhammadu Buhari for another 4-year term and the celebration of another democratic dispensation takeoff are evidences of the people's acceptance of democratic rule in the country.
Many reasons to be happy and to celebrate our country. We passed through a successful general elections across the 36 states and the FCT that were relatively peaceful. We've had a very peaceful inaugural ceremony today. And all of those who thought Nigeria will face insurmountable challenges, I'm sure they are rethinking.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, all say thank you to Nigerians for another opportunity given to the President and his team, as well as the party, the APC.
The beauty of democracy is the orderly and civilized process of transition. But perhaps more importantly is the sanctity of and respect for the will of the people and the choice of the people. On February 23rd, the Nigerian people freely made a choice to re-elect President Muhammadu Buhari for a second term in office. It was that choice that we celebrated with pomp and pageantry this morning. We are grateful to the Almighty God for the grace by which this was made possible, and the Nigerian people for trusting us yet again. That trust will not be betrayed.
Today, we celebrate our nation. Today, we commit ourselves to the development, peaceful coexistence, and unity in diversity. Our support is needed to make Nigeria of our dream. Let's get ready for a greater Nigeria, and let's do everything to ensure that we do not fail.
And so the bid goes on in advancing the country. From the banquet hall of the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
And now, as President Muhammadu Buhari begins a fresh 4-year mandate, Nigerians have continued to speak on what they hope to see in the coming months and years. Today on Good Morning Nigeria, guests discuss some of the issues that must be addressed in order to move the country forward. Abdulkarim Mohammed Zurmi has the report.
Last 4 years, the Buhari administration devoted significant energy on 3 key issues, which include the economy, fight against corruption, and security. With its mandate renewed, experts believe that the administration's task ahead is enormous, and as such, the government needs to move fast.
The administration realizes that there's actually nothing to celebrate because you are coming back to office, but that this is a time to work, to begin to address some of the serious challenges facing the nation.
I would look forward to seeing the government address these issues with speed, with greater commitment, with greater energy than we witnessed during the first 4 years.
The guests agreed that bringing in experienced, competent, and capable people who are willing to go all out to achieve results is key to the success of the administration.
At the end of the day, for me, people who are really prepared to go the extra mile in terms of leadership to get things done. This is the fundamental problem from my perspective.
The support of Nigerians, they emphasize, is also key to the administration's overall success. In Abuja, Abdulkarim Mohammed Zurmi, NTA News.
And it is a new era in Jigawa State as 2 professional accountants take charge of the state governor, Muhammadu Buhari Abubakar, and his deputy Umar Namadi in their agenda for this term pledge to continue on what is achieved through prudent management of state finances. Awal Muhammad Kazauri reports.
I, Muhammad Buhari Abubakar, do solemnly swear.
Governor Muhammadu Abubakar, in an inaugural speech, recalled the achievements of his government during the first tenure in the areas of agricultural development, healthcare delivery, empowerment, and prudent management of resources. He advised the people of the state to brace up for the challenges that will emanate from the implementation of the new minimum wage, while urging civil servants to reciprocate the gesture.
The fact that this administration has become synonymous with calculator is a pointer to our success in managing your state resources and ensuring that every kobo we spend is for the protecting unnecessary costs.
The inaugural ceremony, attended by prominent personalities and party leaders in the state, also witnessed colorful parade. From Duse, Awal Muhammad Kazauri, NTA News.
And from Jigawa, we move to Zamfara State, where the government is to introduce death penalty for armed bandits, kidnappers, and their informants as part of strategy to curb the spate of insecurity in the state. Newly sworn-in governor of the state, Alhaji Bello Muhammad Maradun, announced this shortly after his inauguration in Gusau. Jamilu Ibrahim has more.
Zamfara State has so far witnessed the inauguration of 6 successive democratically elected governments since the return of democratic rule in 1999. The latest event stands out as unique, considering the fact that PDP takes the mantle of leadership in the state for the first time within the past 20 years. People in the state and beyond turned out a large number to grace the historic event amidst resounding cheers and ovation.
This is one of my happiest moments politically, because with PDP government in power, inshallah, we're going to see rapid development in Zamfara state.
To be at their inauguration today, but I personally believe that this one is epochal, quite significant and historic.
A cross-section of people who spoke with NTA News described the ceremony as very historic and epoch-making event. The newly sworn-in governor, Alhaji Bello Muhammad Matawalli, identifies addressing the spate of insecurity across the state as his immediate challenge. The large crowd of people at the event is a clear demonstration of the high expectation they have for the new administration. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
The amalgamation of the Northern and Southern Protectorates by British Consul Administrator Sir Lord Frederick Lugard gave birth to Nigeria. Now, the country since independence in 1960 had experienced different kinds of leadership dominated by the military. In this report, Saliu Abdullahi takes us to the history of handover in Nigeria's democratic journey so far.
When the British colonial administrators handed over power to an indigenous leader in person of Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, their ambition was for Nigeria to sustain a democratic nation. From 1960 till date, Nigeria had produced 16 presidents. The history of handover of power among Nigerian presidents could only be traced to the era of the Second Republic, when the then military head of state, Olusegun Obasanjo, handed over power to a democratically elected civilian president, Alhaji Shehu Shagari, in 1979. The Second Republic did not last, as the military, led by Major General Muhammadu Buhari, then aborted it on December 31st, 1983. After several struggles and attempts, the Third Republic would also not survive under the then military administration of General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. History will forever remember General Abdulsalam Abubakar for planting the seed of democracy for the country to enjoy the current Fourth Republic from 1999 to date. Abdulsalam, though a military head of state, handed over power to a former military head of state, Olusegun Obasanjo, coincidentally 20 years after Obasanjo did same to a civilian president, Shehu Shagari. Obasanjo was president for 8 years on the platform of the People's Democratic Party. In 2007, he handed over to late Umar Musa Yar'Adua, who did not live to hand over as he died in office. His vice, Goodluck Jonathan, took oath of office to complete the tenure. In 2011, Goodluck Jonathan recontested and won the election to become the 15th president of Nigeria. In a historic election in 2015, the same Goodluck Jonathan wanted re-election for another term of 4 years in office, but lost to the opposition APC, with President Muhammadu Buhari being elected as a civilian president, having served as military head of state in 1983. He became the 16th indigenous president who was re-elected a few months ago, and all is now set for him to take another oath of office in May 29th, while the ceremony follows on June 12th. As the president takes oath of office, will he hand over to another elected APC president like Obasanjo did to a PDP president having served for 8 years? Or is he going to hand over to an opposition just like Goodluck Jonathan did come 2023? Only time shall tell. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
And while you ponder on that, let's now go to Lagos, where Jennifer is standing by with more reports on Nationwide. Good day, Jennifer.
Thank you, Ruth, and welcome to Lagos. Nigeria and the State of Israel have entered into an agreement to upscale activities in the health sector in Nigeria. This is to enable the facilitation of information sharing and regulation of medicines. The agreement was signed during a bilateral capacity building seminar for senior staff of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, in Lagos. Email Dory report is here compiled from our studio.
The importance of having quality medicines in Nigeria is one major area by the regulatory agency to ensure that the health of Nigerians is safeguarded. This is why NAFDAC is working towards strengthening local production, access to essential medicines, services. Quality of care and medicine to the growing population in the country has remained a challenge. The collaboration between the Ministries of Health of the State of Israel and Nigeria through NAFDAC is the first step to taking the health sector in Nigeria to the next level.
You got the right knowledge, if you got the right prescription or medicine. So for me, this seminar, this is about knowledge.
Part of this seminar focused on track and trace. NAFDAC is going to be the center, and we have to make sure that adverse events that may be happening anywhere in the country is reported to NAFDAC so that we will have a record of what is going on with different medicines.
It is the government sharing their knowledge in this aspect of care and imparting that knowledge to Nigerians. And at the end of the day, it's the Nigerians that benefit because then their safety is ensured.
The seminar focused on improving capacity in serialization and pharmacovigilance in the Nigerian healthcare system.
Now, the need for strict adherence to stringent sanctions for persons who indulge in abortion has again been advocated. Members of a non-governmental organization, Foundation for African Cultural Heritage, and some civil society organizations in Nigeria stated this at a forum tagged End the War on Children in Lagos. Tunde Saiki reports.
Life, they say, begins at the very stage a child is conceived. In other words, even the fetus is assumed to have a life. Terminating this life at whatever stage or shape is assumed to be culturally, religiously, medically, and criminally wicked and unacceptable. It is against this background that these organizations are emphasizing strict adherence to the application of sanctions on anyone or groups caught indulging or perpetrating in the act of abortion.
Abortion is morally wrong. You don't have to lay down that many scientific facts to make it obvious that abortion is wrong. It's traumatic.
There's someone who I know that she aborted the child because she and her husband wanted to enjoy life. They weren't ready for a child. Until today, she hasn't found a child.
Abortion is capital no. Islam hasn't allowed us to abort any of pregnancy.
In a related development, parental care for teenagers, especially at their formative stages, have been re-emphasized. This is at 10 Development Forum tagged The African Teenager and Endangered Species, as issues relating to drug abuse, prostitution, teenage pregnancy, and cybercrime associated with teenagers are said to be what make them endangered.
We have to, put together some solutions that can curb this menace.
The event had in attendance legal and medical practitioners, academics, counselors, and other experts. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
Now, another set of Nigerians have been empowered in the ongoing federal government skill acquisition program for youth and women in agricultural capital project. Annie Daniels has details.
The nationwide federal government-initiated training program is facilitated by the Federal College of Fisheries and Marine Technology, Lagos. Participants drawn from all 36 states of the Federation, including Abuja, were put through the rudiments of fish farming, ornamental fish production, and exploitation inclusive.
We've seen a lot of success in the ones that have practiced, that are practicing what they have, the skills they were imparted on over these years.
My experience some time ago when I was outside was quite a very interesting one. Instead of their own drainage to be made of all those debris that we put in ours, or we allow to flow in ours, we put in some ornamental fishes.
water quality management, nutrients requirement, fish feed formulation and production were among courses the participants were exposed to.
We were taught how to open the male fish and locate the testes and actually bring it out and use the meat to fertilize the female fishes.
I can even help the community because from the knowledge that I acquire now, there is some they couldn't have the opportunity to attempt this training.
At the end of the training, participants were presented with certificates and cash sum to start off the project. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Lagos. Back to Ruth in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Jennifer, and welcome back to Abuja. And now to legislative matters. The Senate has confirmed the nomination of Musa Abubakar Sadiq as President of the Federal Capital Territory Customary Court of Appeal. Ignatius Nkwo tells us more.
Well, 14 days to the end of the life of the 8th Senate, the Senate has performed one crucial constitutional function, that is confirmation of a nominee from the President. Well, as soon as the Senate reconvened for Thursday's plenary, it received executive communication from the President requesting the confirmation of Musa Abubakar Sadiq as the President of the Federal Capital Territory Customary Court of Appeal. Well, within 40 minutes, the Senate considered the request and then approved the confirmation. And then the nominee presented his resume, born in 1957 in Abuja here in the Federal Capital Territory. Senators described his resume as satisfactory. One of the senators who really commented when that screening was ongoing is Senator Jibrin Barau. He's here to tell us why they accelerated hearing on that confirmation.
Well, you see, that's what we always advise, that whenever Mr. President is bringing nominee or nominees to us, there should be proper background checks, especially in respect to the suitability of such a nominee or such nominees. And the President exactly did what we always advise him to do. He brought a nominee that has an outstanding judicial pedigree.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, the Senate also adopted a motion by Senator Victor Ume, which called on the federal government to suspend or not to consider the planned downgrading of Kano Ibiam International Airport in Enugu with quite vivid reasons, which the senators also concurred with that motion. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ignatius. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so now that motion, basically, you're asking the federal government and the Ministry of Aviation to suspend the planned downgrading of Kano Ibiam International Airport. Now, can you tell us some of the challenges and reasons they gave for this? Have they been addressed?
Well, the airport certainly needs a lot of support. We unfortunately also missed out in the Chinese loan for airport upgrades in Nigeria. So the motion was aimed at addressing the need to suspend any threat of downgrading, but to rather bring the government to work and make the airport be like others, or even better if it's possible.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, the Senate also approved the report of its committee on petroleum downstream, which recommend that the federal government should pay the sum of 129 billion to petroleum marketers for their subsidy claims. This is what we have for you at the moment.
Thank you, Ignatius, for those updates. And now, an executive order set to give effect to the withdrawal of licenses of registered gun owners dominated debate at Thursday's plenary at the House of Representatives. The issue brought up as a matter of urgent public importance by Representative Inenna Elendu Ukeje elicited comments from lawmakers who pointed out that most crimes committed are usually with illegally acquired firearms. The lawmakers therefore urged that the decision to withdraw the license be rescinded because legal gun owners have indeed helped in crime prevention. Meanwhile, the House Committee on Army laid at plenary the report of an investigation carried out concerning alleged murder of unarmed civilians by security personnel. We'll now take a pause for some messages. The news continues shortly. Do stay with us.
They are there at the crack of dawn. They are there busy preparing while we rise for our day. They are there silently, guarding, waiting, listening, and watching. They are there ready in the sky above and the waters below, in the blistering heat of the day, in the dead of night, willing, indefatigable, determined in the defense of the sovereignty of our country. They are our first line of defense and our last. They who have paid the ultimate price in defending us. They are fathers and uncles. They are mothers and sisters and girlfriends and boyfriends. They are brothers and cousins and best friends and neighbors. They are classmates, colleagues, and citizens of this nation. They are our defenders and deserve our respect, our prayers, our thoughts. Nigeria, please support our armed forces.
NTA Television College Jos announces admissions into